I'm Amelia Mosley and you're watching BTN. Thanks for joining us for another episode. Let's jump into it and see what's coming up. We learn why Australia's koalas have been declared endangered. Find out why you shouldn't put your batteries in the bin. And follow in the footsteps of a famous Antarctic explorer. There were some happy scenes at airports on Monday as international tourists were welcomed back to Australia. It's been 2 years since our borders were first closed because of COVID-19, and it's been a really hard time for a lot of businesses. So let's find out more about how the pandemic has affected tourism here and overseas, and what's next for international travel. Check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, please return to your seats and fasten your seatbelts. We're about to make our descent.
International travel. It's something a lot of people around the world have been dreaming about, including me. But for the past 2 years, it's been just that, a daydream.
Wait, is this a toilet seat?
Yes it is. Now countries are starting to work out how to live with this whole COVID thing, and many are starting to open up to the world again, including Australia.
Can I put this down? My arm's starting to hurt.
No.
Our borders will be open from the 21st of February and welcoming the world back to Australia.
While our borders opened up late last year to returning Aussies, not many other people were allowed in or in without quarantining. Now people can come to Australia again from all over the place to work, study or see the sights.
Very, very emotional, and especially that I made it for my sister's 80th birthday.
Lovely to be here. I understand the weather's even better than in Britain, and sometimes the cricket is too.
But there is one thing for visitors to remember.
Don't forget to bring your money with you.
Okay, 2 things.
You must be double vaccinated to come to Australia. That's the rule. Everyone is expected to abide by it.
It's up to each state and territory to decide if they only want to let in a certain amount of people or make people quarantine. But most have decided to ditch those restrictions for the fully vaccinated. The change is good news for people in Australia's tourism industry.
Across the country, you probably see tourism operators quietly doing a happy dance.
Yeah, they're happy dancing because tourism usually brings in about $60 billion a year to our economy. When COVID happened, the industry took a huge hit and lots of people and businesses were out of work. But we're not the only country that's really missed having tourists. Stats show the pandemic cost the global tourism industry more than $2 trillion just last year. Whoa! That's why many countries, including some of Australia's neighbours, have also just opened up to international visitors again, like the Philippines and Bali in Indonesia.
I'm really happy that I can come because it was difficult before due to the long quarantine, and so now I hope that everything can go back to normal.
But some reckon normal doesn't have to mean doing things the same way. Some very popular tourist cities around the world say the pandemic could be a good opportunity to rethink the way they do tourism, like putting a stop to overcrowding and reducing damage to the environment. But while all this sounds like a good step away from COVID times, some experts do say that it might take a year or two before things really take off again. So until then, people can expect their travel plans to, well, not always go according to plan. But at least right now, this dream could be a reality. Ooh, thank you.
Amelia, can I go home now?
Just another 10 minutes. Can you name this foreign leader and which country he's in charge of? It's Vladimir Putin, who's the president of Russia. And as you may know, he's been in the news lately because of a tense situation on the border of Ukraine where Russian soldiers have gathered. Many are worried there will be conflict, and leaders have been in talks trying to calm things down.
Easy. Go on, son.
Can you name the powerful storm which hit the UK and parts of Europe over the weekend? Was it Eunice, Ernest or Ethel? It was Eunice. The deadly storm brought some of the strongest winds ever recorded in the UK, bringing down trees and damaging buildings, including the famous O2 Arena. There were ceremonies in the Northern Territory on the weekend to mark 80 years since Darwin was bombed by Japanese aircraft during which World War? The bombing of Darwin began on 19th of February 1942, which was during World War II.
Around 230 to 250 people were killed on that first day, and over the nearly 2 years of bombings, around 1,700 people lost their lives.
And a Russian security guard is facing charges after admitting that he vandalised this $1.3 million painting. What did he draw on it? He drew eyes. Luckily, the damage was minor and the painting can be fixed. As we all know, it's been a pretty weird couple of years, and you guys have faced a lot of unusual things like home learning and isolation. Now, fingers crossed, we're starting to get back to normal, but some experts say Aussie kids might need some help to get back on track. Kale's had a chat to the National Children's Commissioner to find out about their plan to hear from you guys.
Remember 2 years ago when things started to get, well, a bit weird? And we all learnt a new word.
What we've been calling the coronavirus finally has an official name, COVID-19.
Yeah, who would have thought after all this time we'd still be hearing it every day?
A COVID-19 scare has hit the royal family.
These rapid antigen tests.
Let's look at the latest COVID numbers now.
Look, I am pretty over it. So, how are you guys doing?
Well, it's affected me a lot since I just had COVID. And I was about to get my first dose, so we had to push it off a bit, so yeah.
I rather would have been at school, just because it's a new year. I want to meet my teacher.
It hasn't really affected me that much, but sometimes, like, when you think some people might have it, it scares you a bit.
I feel like people have kind of stopped doing things and just sitting on the couch and watching TV and all that sort of stuff, so I think we'll need a bit of help to get back into the routine that we used to have.
While the last couple of years have affected everyone differently, experts are worried that some of you guys might be struggling.
There's no question it's been a very, very challenging time for many children and young people across Australia.
That's the National Children's Commissioner, Anne Hollins, and she reckons the government will have some work to do to make sure you guys come out the other side of the pandemic in tip-top shape, which is why she wants to hear from you.
And so at the moment what I'm doing is I'm inviting all kids across Australia aged between 9 and 17 to do this short survey. It's at kidscovidsurvey.com.
The survey is open now until March 20th, and it'll ask things like how you've coped over the last few years, things you did or didn't like about school, or what's changed at home.
We're going to use that to really say to government, to say to the Prime Minister and all of the governments around Australia, these are the things that Australian kids are saying that they want to help them with their mental health and well-being.
It's not just the Children's Commissioner. Last week, some of Australia's top doctors called on the government to put together a recovery plan to make sure kids' mental and physical health is looked after the pandemic. In the meantime, experts say we all have to look after each other and ourselves. And that means talking to someone if you are feeling anxious or upset.
You find a grown-up that you can trust, someone in your family or a teacher or school counsellor, or contact Kids Helpline, because the thing is there's always someone there who you can reach out to.
Or you can take the advice of these guys.
I talk to my family, like I can call my nana and papa or my uncle or my auntie.
I like to talk to my family a lot and sometimes my pets if I need to.
Just trying to get back into the routines you had before COVID started and just trying to get back to normal, yeah.
Now, have you ever thrown a battery in the bin? If you have, you're not alone. Around 90% of our flat batteries get tossed away, but that's not good. They can actually be dangerous if they end up in landfill. Alex found out about a new recycling scheme that's just been launched to help us get our batteries where they belong. Take a look.
It's hard being a flat battery. For a while, you're in everything. TV remotes, toys, the good old days. Yesterday you were powerful. Today, you're powerless, unwanted, unsure of where to go. Yep, those flat batteries can be a bit of a problem. You see, they don't actually belong in any of your household bins. Not the rubbish, not the recycling, and not the green bin. And there's a good reason for that. These guys are basically a can of chemicals. Yeah. Different batteries use different chemicals, but the principle is the same. Batteries work by creating a slow chemical reaction. That causes electrons to move around, and moving electrons equals electricity. When the battery is connected, the electrons can flow out of the negative terminal, through the electrical circuit and back into the positive terminal. Eventually, when all the chemicals have reacted, the battery goes flat. But they can still be dangerous. If they end up in landfill, the chemicals can leak into the environment. And even a flat battery can make enough power to produce a spark if it comes into contact with metal. And that can start a fire.
So what am I supposed to do? I don't belong anywhere.
Well, there's some good news. You see, batteries can be recycled. For years, there have been places across the country to drop off batteries for recycling. They can be pulled apart and anything useful can be repurposed. In fact, the stuff in batteries can be quite valuable. The demand for battery recycling around the world is charging up as more things go battery operated.
If we can divert them from landfill, there are great commodities within those batteries that are fully recyclable and that can go into new battery manufacturing or into other applications rather than needing to remine those minerals from the earth.
The trouble is, not enough people are doing it. In 2018, Australia had 20,000 tonnes of used batteries, but only recycled 2,000 tonnes. That's only 10%. In the same year, countries like Sweden and Belgium recycled between 60 and 70%, so we could be doing a lot better. Which is why the government has put money towards a new national scheme designed to make it easier for people to recycle them.
What we're launching today is a nationwide scheme of 2,300 drop-off locations so that consumers can safely take their batteries to a drop-off location and be assured that they are going to be safely and professionally recycled.
The drop-off bins will accept AA, AAA, 9-volt, 6-volt button batteries, basically the types you'll find in TV remotes, torches, toys, and even power tools. But you can't just chuck it away. First, you need to put some tape over the terminals of the battery to make sure that it doesn't spark. Second, you need to chuck it into a clear plastic bag. And third, go online to find your nearest drop-off point. It's hoped that the scheme will encourage people to do the right thing and give those poor old batteries a place to go and a second charge at life.
Last week, we got some worrying news about one of the most famous and adorable Aussie animals, koalas. The government decided to declare northern koalas endangered. But while it sounds like a bad thing, some conservationists say it could actually be a good move. Check it out.
Have you heard the news, Susie?
What, Gary?
We're now an endangered species.
Well, that's not good.
Yep, Gary's unfortunately right. Experts say koala populations in parts of Australia are really struggling because of things like climate change, diseases and habitat loss. And not to mention bushfires, like the Black Summer fires just over a year ago.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
The change in climate, the droughts of 2019, the fires that followed, really put so much pressure on our koalas and they've not recovered since.
In Queensland and New South Wales, the best science shows that their numbers have fallen by 50% since 2000.
That's why Australia's federal government has decided to change its status of the iconic creatures from vulnerable to endangered. But not koalas everywhere, only in New South Wales, Queensland and the ACT, where stats show they're struggling the most. You see, Australia has special environmental laws designed to recognise and help protect native species that aren't doing so well by giving them a conservation status. It goes from conservation dependent, meaning they could be in trouble without help, all the way up to extinct. You don't want to end up there.
But, Susie, being listed as endangered, it might help us.
How? What are you on about, Gary?
Well, optimistic Gary could be right. The listing is something environmentalists say they've wanted for a long time. They reckon it could help shine a light on the problems koalas are facing.
I think the endangered listing helps raise even higher people's understanding we have to do things differently if we're going to save koalas.
And that's why I've been given $50 million.
What?
Yep, I'm rich.
Righto.
No, you don't get all of it, Gary. The federal government says it's going to put $50 million into protecting koalas and their habitats. Some of that money will go towards stuff like planting trees and studying koala populations.
But what about my cousins in SA and Victoria?
Well, at the moment, southern koala numbers are considered pretty healthy, although they've also faced threats like fires and climate change, and some reckon they need more protection. As for their northern mates, some are worried the listing won't help unless laws also change to better protect koala habitats.
Today is a day about saying we are all not doing enough. We need to use the endangered species listing to change the laws, change the culture, that we don't just keep waving through developments that destroy koala habitat and kill koalas. That's got to stop.
So all eyes will be on these lovable little cuties to see if things get better for them.
Oh, I love you, Susie.
I love you, Gary.
Did you know the word koala comes from the Darug word kula, meaning no water?
The Winter Olympics have wrapped up with a bang in Beijing. It was Australia's best Winter Olympics ever, taking home 1 gold, 2 silvers and a bronze. But the real star of the show was probably Bing Duen Duen, Beijing's incredibly popular mascot. People were still lining up for merchandise after the closing ceremony.
It's just a bit of craziness.
Meanwhile, Sri Lanka has ruined the Aussies' winning streak in the T20, taking out the 5th and final match. They managed an exciting 5-wicket win thanks to an unbeaten 69 from Kusal Mendis. While it wasn't a total whitewash, the Aussies still walked away with a solid 4-1 series win. Everyone, give it up for Hannah Green, who's made golf history. She managed a 4-shot victory in the TPS Murray River to become the first woman to win a 72-hole mixed-gender tournament on any of the world's leading golf tours. Not bad. Speaking of not bad, check out this Goal of the Year contender from Western United's Ben Garuccio during their win against the Western Sydney Wanderers.
Oh, my word! That is extraordinary from Ben Garuccio!
Wow. Finally, the best of the NBA have been showing off their skills at the All-Star weekend. Some complained that the slam dunk contest was a little underwhelming, but the skills challenge made up for it. Aussie Josh Giddey's team came in second after this half-court shot from Evan Mobley sealed the win. And as for the All-Star game, Team LeBron won, and Steph Curry took home the MVP with a whopping 50 points.
A team of scientists, archaeologists and technicians have just set off on an epic quest to find the remains of an epic quest. They're searching for the wreck of the Endurance, the ship that Ernest Shackleton took on an expedition to cross Antarctica. Here's Ernest Shackleton to tell you all about it.
Right, there we are. Hello. Foremost, apologies about the beard and the face. It's been a ghastly few months. You can probably hear the weather outside. I mean, awful, awful. My name is Ernest Shackleton.
I was born in 1874 in Ireland, but grew up in London and always had legs for the sea and a heart for adventure. In 1901, I joined the Royal Navy and was away on my first trip to Antarctica, an unexplored continent of mystery and intrigue. I sailed aboard the Discovery with the famous explorer Robert Falcon Scott, Scott of the Antarctic. But a few years in, I fell ill and was sent home. 6 years on, I was captain, leading a crew back to Antarctica with a ship called the Nimrod. Oh, it was a ghastly ship, that one, but it carried good people. There's Douglas Mawson. Good lad, good lad.
We tried to reach the South Pole, but, well, we didn't quite make it. That brings me to now.
In 1914, I set sail on the Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition. Our goal was simple: make the first land crossing of the Antarctic continent.
But it wasn't simple, to say the least.
Venturing deep into the Weddell Sea, we came across ice, and lots of it. The Endurance was designed to break through the ice, but this was...
Too much, Shackleton. We're stuck in the ice.
After 10 months of drifting, we abandoned the ship and camped out on the ice as we watched the Endurance sink.
Luckily, our captain, Frank Worsley, he had some sense.
I'll record the coordinates, sir, so hopefully someone can come back and find the wreck.
Smart lad, smart lad. But now we had to escape Antarctica alive.
We sailed to Elephant Island using the Endurance as lifeboats, in what I said was
the worst portion of the worst sea in the world.
The rest of the crew camped out here while Worsley, myself, and 4 others rowed for 16 days and trekked for 36 hours, arriving at Stromness whaling station, where I could send help for my men.
Everyone survived. It's remarkable, really. Well, everyone except the Endurance. That ship is 3,000 meters under the ice and the Weddell Sea. But with Frank Worsley's coordinates, I hope one day someone will uncover it. I'm sure they will. Shackleton out.
Fast forward 105 years, 5 months and 23 days, and a new batch of adventurers are on their own epic quest to find the Endurance. The expedition, called Endurance 22, set sail this month from South America, across the treacherous Southern Ocean. It'll use Frank Worsley's coordinates to send these robots called Sabertooths deep down under the ice to see if they can find the wreck and snap some photos of it.
We're not going to touch the ship in any way. The ship stays right where it is. It's a protected monument. We're not going to bring anything up from the surface. It's going to stay where it is.
School kids across the globe have been following the expedition online and talking to some of the crew, as we all wait to see if one of the most famous shipwrecks in history will finally be found.
Thanks, Shackleton, and we'll keep you up to date on that one. Well, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Don't worry, we'll be back next week with more. And in the meantime, you can jump online whenever you like to check out more stories and teacher resources. There's also our YouTube channel if you're 13 or over. And as always, Newsbreak will be here every weeknight to keep you up to date. Have an awesome week and I'll see you soon. Bye.